First story. Get this shit. I made friends with a young woman at work over a year ago. She got a new job and got me a job at the new job, and we stayed friends more or less. She completely went the way of faking it till she makes it though, and was always mingling with the higher-ups. I suspected she wasn't as kind and endearing as I initially thought, but rather a more disingenuous person, or at least it seemed that way. Jumping ahead, I'm no longer working there with her, and she has since used her networking to become a general manager of 2 restaurants. One of the first things she wanted to do was hire my wife, because she knew she was a stay-at-home mom that had been out of work for years. Everything works out well enough. My wife is great at the job. She's becoming more of a chef at home and liking her job for the most part. But then drama happens between us, and the true shit-stirring potential of my former friend reveals itself in multiple ways at once. I end up finding out from my previous co-workers' friends that she has been trying to destroy relationships. She suggested one married employee and another employee had a special relationship, but it was a complete lie, and luckily she only made herself look bad. By the way, I should mention she's a bit of a narcissist and is also bipolar, with a backstory of riding on the back of her mom's motorcycle, and working at a young age as well as having relationships with older men, and accumulating what the kids call a body count. She actually just got out of a Tinder relationship where she married the dude, divorced him, and went through a serious situation with the next Tinder guy that didn't look too different from the last Tinder guy. She was confused as to why both Tinder guys did not become her lifelong loves and is currently single. And fun fact, apparently no one has made her finish to this day. Anyway, my wife and I are having personal issues. And unfortunately an argument gets so bad one day it bleeds into her work. Well, just in terms of her being bummed out. And so my former friend steps in, let's call her Elle. And she asks my wife what the problem is. My wife and I kind of respectfully keep our drama between ourselves though. We don't go bad-mouthing each other, or airing out our dirty laundry as it were. But I almost slipped once to Elle, and guess what? She chose to use it at this critical moment. She tells my wife I vented to her about our problems, or did what my wife would call putting out our business. So she does the same, thinking that I had betrayed her in that way previously, and as a result of this interaction she tells me she wants space. The machinations and events in motion were occurring whether I knew it or not. My wife is fairly inexperienced. I was her first and only. As far as I know, that's the reality. She's cute, very petite, but also has a great body overall. The intimacy in our relationship is fantastic. I'll just say that. Also, she doesn't age, she doesn't look a day over 20. But this young-looking Cuban Phoebe Cates with a booty is over here talking to her about the Gen Z hoe phase life, the type of shit my wife never had. No shame on her of course, but it's becoming a problem at the same time. They're getting closer, she's having her over, getting her to put on bikinis and go to the pool. Well, wouldn't you know it, my wife is talking about just co-parenting with benefits, for now. Is it not obvious what's happening here? Am I crazy? She's trying to have my wife go on one of her Tinder fuckathons with her and turn me into a cuck, and I don't think there's anything I can do to stop it. My wife's younger friend is encouraging her to cheat on me. Second story. Trying to focus on myself and be okay with letting go. My WW never truly lost me. During the year I was oblivious. After AP dumped her, I was manipulated into helping her heal. And after D-Day, I said I wanted her 3 days later. So she never took the initiative to fight for me. I did the stupid thing and tried to fight for her. Showering in gifts and affection, becoming obsessive in our relationship, and bottling up the anger and anxiety. And she had no motivation to win me back because she never lost me. So she didn't help with the extra pain and stress that was involved in and that anger and hatred would explode out in every spiral in the same form. My needs weren't being met. And the spirals got worse, not better. and I realized that I was gripping tightly to a marriage that WW threw away almost 6 months ago. I was trying to control a situation that I shouldn't and couldn't be controlling. So I'm trying to take a step back, which is hard with a kid. My last spiral was explosive, and I regret a lot of what I did. But I realize I was on a crash course that ended in a morgue if I continued what I was doing. So I want to distance myself. Not because I don't want her, but because for art to work, I need her to want me. And if I provide the prize before the work, she won't put in the work. RCC recommended that we spend the weekend doing whatever, and we take distance while I travel for work next week. Basically a 72-hour trial run of no contact. But I've been trying to be distant for the weekend too. Sleeping on the couch, not saying I love you, not asking about her day and such, but it's just so hard to quit her. She went to a mom party, which I am a bit anxious about, honestly, and on her way out she offered me a handshake. I didn't realize it at first, so I was confused. She asked what we should do, and I told her to do what she thought was appropriate. So she hugged me, and in my weakness I hugged her tight. Then she kissed my forehead and held my head to her heart. Still don't know if it was care, trying to keep me on the hook, or some sort of sign that she does want me. Probably reading too deep into it, but it really put a strain on my heart. She asked if I planned of downloading dating apps, and I told her no. I said she didn't have to worry about me revenge cheating, but I would always be worried about her because she has in the past, which doesn't seem fair to me. But the fact of the matter is that I need to decide whether I can live with this constant stress, and she needs to decide if she actually wants to fight for me, because I can't survive doing what I was doing before. If she can't help me in R, she has no business being granted it. Maybe I needed too much before, but she could have written the letters I requested. She could be reading the books I asked her to, because I have been devastated by her actions, and I do feel anger and hatred over them, and it's not my job to redeem her with no effort on her part. So even in a health approach, I'd have needed more than she gave. So now I soul search, and maybe next week we take a new, better approach to R, but she has to want it, and I have to agree to it, which is something I am currently struggling with. Third story. Still painful after a long time. Hurts today like it did the day I found out. My wife 34 and I 32 got married 14 years ago. We had known each other for several years in high school but weren't interested in each other. She graduated a year ahead of me and ended up dropping out of college and moving in with a guy. They were engaged and she got pregnant and he left. During that time she was having an affair with another guy. Now pregnant and alone, she went through a bit of a how phase, sleeping with several guys and a couple of girls. Then I came back around into her life. We started as friends but grew into more. At this point I had only had my first love and a one-night stand. We fell in love, and when the child was born, I was there and loved her as my own. I proposed and we were married a short time later. Once married, I was in school during the day and worked full-time at night to support us. During this time she developed some health conditions and her depression was way out of control. Sex was hit or miss for about the first year of marriage, but schedules weren't always aligned and I worked through it and it got better. Fast forward 3 years, and we are having an argument about me going to lunch with some females I worked with. 2 were as old as my mother and the other was a lesbian. I accused her of projecting a lot of stuff on me, accusing me of wrongdoing when I had done nothing wrong. At this point, I guess guilt got the better of her, and she admitted she had an affair with her old AP that started a few months after being married and lasted an entire year. I was crushed. She claimed to not remember a lot about that time as she had mostly blocked it out of her mind. However, it was several times a week at our house while I was at work. She claimed it was only on the couch and ottoman and never in our bed. She doesn't know if that caused her to deny my sex all of the time, but I know there were times she denied me a lot. She said she broke it off 3 years before I was told. She did say she was sexually satisfied currently and claimed I'm the only person to ever make her orgasm. She also said I had more girth than past partners, but the AP was bigger than me. I came home, and after several days we agreed to reconcile as I didn't want to throw away the good times. She was definitely in a different place with mental health and in life. And I didn't feel it was fair to punish the woman I love now for the woman she was then. Now we have been married 14 years. I still have a lot of insecurity about it and it gets on my mind, and I replay scenarios in my head over and over that I've never even seen. It severely affects my mental health. We are going to couples therapy now as we have both relived. We got a lot of stuff to work on. As much as it sickens me, sometimes I find myself looking at cheating or cuckold porn. Not that I want that to happen to me again with or without my knowledge. I feel so hurt and angry about the whole thing. I hate bringing it up at times because it makes my wife sad or I find myself calling out an unfaithful spouse and saying terrible things about her, but I can see it stings her too. I don't know what I want or need. I just know I want to move past this in my life. I don't think she would ever cheat again, but I've also lived by tigers don't change their stripes, especially when she isn't in the mood for sex lately. Being back in school herself brings back memories of that horrible time. As for the first time in a long time, my libido is higher than hers. Short and long, we are working on reconciliation, but damn is it hard some days. Fourth story. Is this cheating? Okay, pretty much just wondering if this is cheating. If someone could help me, would really appreciate it. I started talking to this girl. She's been staying with me 4/7-ish days a week, just casual fucking etc. We've talked about getting together but never said we were exclusive, which is weird cause we have said I love you to each other. Most women I'm with end up saying it fast, but we never said we're exclusive. Anyway, 6 to 7 days ago, a guy she had been talking to a while ago, never met up with him or fucked him, messaged her. She started off by telling him she was talking to me and that she didn't want anything with him, but then said, "Can we be friends, so that way we can get to know each other?" He said yeah, then she ended up sending pictures of herself and vice versa. He complimented her and complimented him back. Then he complimented her again. She said thanks with a heart. Then they talked for like 4 or 5 more messages, semi-flirtatious. I didn't see the messages until a couple days later. She said some guy texted me not knowing it was him, and I told her to go through the recently deleted. She pulled up his messages, and I saw the heart and the compliments. Now I know we weren't exclusive, but saying I love you and possibly talking about a future. I had asked her why she messaged him. She said that the night she did, she felt like I was saying how she had acne on her arm and was giving her ways to get rid of it to help her. She thought I was belittling her. So when the guy texted, she responded because she liked how he made her feel, which so far is fair because we technically weren't exclusive. But I asked her if what she thought she did was wrong, or if she thought it might hurt me, and she said yes, she thought it was wrong, but still did it. I now fear in the future, if we do make it exclusive, if the opportunity comes up to cheat, she has demonstrated that if something is wrong she will still do it because in the moment it is fun. IDK what to do. She broke down crying, saying she was sorry etc. And while technically it isn't cheating, this is a terrible start, and the fact that she knew it was wrong and still did it makes me wonder if she will do it again. Any advice or feedback is greatly appreciated, and thanks for taking the time to read this lesson 3. I know the heart is cliche because of what she sent to him. Fifth story. Cheating wife. I'm currently in the early process of divorcing my wife. I am 29 and she is 30. We have been together for 12 years and married for a year and a half. I had always been fearful of marriage, not because I didn't want to commit. I was loyal the entire time, and God knows there were opportunities not to be. My parents are divorced. Her dad was never around and her mom was divorced 4 separate times. I met her dad once in 12 years and was not a fan. He left one of his wives when he found out she had cancer, and she unfortunately passed from it later on. Anyways, to get to the point, my wife cheated on me. Once she turned 30 a few months ago, things seemed drastically different. I thought maybe she was struggling with turning 30 and needed some time to wrap her head around it. She had recently gained quite a bit of weight and blamed me for it because I enjoy cooking. I tried coming up with healthier options and then she wouldn't even eat them. She has recently been into a lot of reading. It was majority fantasy smut type books. No judgment here. That doesn't bother me at all. Glad you've found a hobby you enjoy so much. Well, one day she gets upset with me, saying I need to spend more time with her or she'll find someone else that will. I work 12-hour days. I'm sorry if I don't want to go to the gym or be extremely active on my days off. I'm working out at work. I would suggest other things to do and it was always a no. It had to be what she wanted or nothing. It's really always been that way. I'm not materialistic, but on my birthday, she got me nothing. Not even saying happy birthday. That was not like her. I happened to notice one day that she's being super weird with her phone, putting it away every single time I walk in the room. After a few days of this, I finally asked her what she is doing. She's always been a terrible liar and I can see right through it. She knows that. She's been on a dating app. She swore it was only for X amount of time. I didn't believe her obviously. A buddy at work who I normally never see, came up to speak with me and I told him what had been going on. He said that's why he wanted to talk. He took screenshots of her Tinder and wanted to show me in person what was going on. Thankfully, my STBXW was at very least honest when I asked or this news would have destroyed me at work. Guess what? She had Tinder for a lot longer than she said she did. I didn't ask her more questions because I didn't want to know any more details. Since I knew and said we were done, she openly kept chatting with people. She said she doesn't want to feel like she missed out on life. I asked her to please refrain from doing it around me until I move. She laughed at me. It took me 3 weeks to get out. As I'm moving out, my help fell through, and I ended up having to call out of work the next day to get everything done. She comes home early because she doesn't feel well and tells me I need to be out by the end of the day, because she has a date. I'm struggling to cope with the betrayal. The way she acted was like a switch flipped, and I didn't recognize this person I thought I'd be with forever at all. I know divorce is for the best. I will not be treated this way. It's still difficult to understand and try not to blame myself. Sorry for the long post. Any advice is appreciated. Thanks for reading. 6th story. Unhappy. My wife cheated on me one night while going out with coworkers. I was fine with it as I thought we had a strong relationship. She woke me up and told me she cheated on me. I thought she was joking honestly. My wife always had drinking problems and I saw the video feed of her coming home drunk. She had borrowed my car. I had been working on hers the past few days for some problems it was having. They slept in my car on my driveway. I was angry for a few months but it seemed like a one-time thing. I wanted things to be normal again and gave her a very nice Christmas. I had forgiven her and we seemed to be getting along again. I had asked her to stop talking to the man who seemingly to me had taken advantage of her, since she was hardly able to stand in the video I saw. Turns out she had been going to his house on lunch breaks. I found out after she got too drunk to remember to take her phone with her, and a notification of love emojis popped up. She told me he just wants to be friends and I wondered how dumb she thought I must be. 3 days later, she asked for an open relationship and essentially told me she was going to his place to spend the night. Drove drunk as fuck over there with me worrying the entire time she would end up in an accident and thinking about what she was doing if she made it there safely. I wasn't forgiving but still cared so she lived in the house we bought for a while. Quit her job and I supported her. I thought she was having a breakdown. One day she tells me she never stopped seeing him, and I ask her to leave. She immediately moved in with him and was pregnant a month later. She was still posting our wedding photos for our anniversary and for my birthday, talking about how much she loved me. We had been trying for children. It broke my heart to lose my future hope of a family. It's been a year almost now. I'm not close to doing better. I want to forget it all. I don't understand how someone could do any of it.